Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a nice day. You're probably not used to seeing our faces, but we are trying something new for season two. And yeah, welcome to season two. We really enjoyed all of you participating in the first season, and we really liked that you guys were engaging with the speakers. So we decided, why not show you our faces and our speakers' faces? But yes, I can tell you it's not just me. It's not just Jeffrey here today. We've also got Sam and Anushka here. So Sam and Anushka, if you could say hi to everyone.
Hey everyone. Welcome back to season two. Excited to go over completely new topics and go over old ones as well. As we found out in our previous season, there were so many things that we wanted to expand upon. Every time a speaker came, we were just like, we want to know more about this, we want to know more about that. If it was something about BME, like how does it affect like being a woman as well, and so many different things that we wanted to explore more. And we think that showing our faces is a good way of expressing ourselves and getting the points across. So yeah, welcome back. Excited to do a new season with everyone, and thanks for coming back to all of our old listeners and new. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi everyone. Couldn't have said it better myself. What he said. But I hope you've all been keeping well, and welcome back to the new season.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And yeah, like they said, even if you're still listening audio-wise, don't worry. You'll still have the same experience. But if you do want to check out the actual video itself, feel free to go to our YouTube channel. The link is on our website. So today we're discussing an interesting topic. We briefly touched last season about graduation opportunities, but we decided to go a bit broader this season. So this season, we're starting our first episode off with looking at what's next after university. A lot of students are at that point, us included, that are thinking, what do we do next? Where do we go? There's many opportunities, and even if it feels like everything's been a bit changed because of COVID, there are still many different options that recent graduates can do once they've graduated from university, whether that's a postgrad or undergrad or PhD. So we've decided to bring a very special guest today, and her name is Chloe. Now I won't introduce Chloe because I can tell you're all dying to hear about her. So I'll pass on to Chloe. Chloe, could you please introduce yourself to our listeners and our watchers?
Hi guys, so my name is Chloe and I studied at Sussex University. I studied history. I graduated 2 years ago, and since then I have worked as a campaigns coordinator at Brunel, and I've also just started a new role 2 weeks ago working for a charity. So yeah, that's a little bit about myself. I'm really excited to be on the podcast.
Oh, thank you very much for that, and it was such a great introduction. And yeah, I'm pretty sure all our audience can tell that you've been busy over the last year, and I'm sure they're dying to know more about not only your personal journeys of the experiences that you've taken, but also what they can do now they've come to this point of graduation, which I know for some students, including myself, seemed so far away you didn't have to think about it, but now it's coming up to that point. So let's get into it.
Thanks for the introduction, Chloe. So could you tell us, after graduation, what kinds of opportunities do students have?
Yeah, so after graduating, it is hard for students, and people tell you it's hard to find a job after graduation, which I was like, yeah, it'll be hard. But when I was looking, I was like, okay, this is really hard. But I would say to utilize LinkedIn, network, message people in fields that you want to work in. A lot of people will reply to you. A lot of people will give you tips if you're just friendly. I would say you need to be on it. You need to be applying to jobs. It is boring and very repetitive, but you just got to do it. You got to sit down each day like it's your working job, and you just gotta send off applications. So I would say that's a good thing to do, but also explore with what you want to do, because there's so many different jobs out there with titles that you would never even heard of, and you may not even know that it's something that you've considered. But yeah, look at a range of different jobs in a range of different sectors, and just get a feel of what you like. The more like job descriptions you read, the more you figure out like what you might like and what you might actually want to do. So that would be like my tips. Utilize LinkedIn, network, do a lot of research. And also, if you can, I know this isn't an option for everyone, but if you can get work experience, I would recommend you do that. Just try and get some work experience because it just looks great on your CV, and like everyone is fighting for them roles. So yeah, they're my tips.
Yeah, no, that's so true. Because when I was looking for a job, like initially I didn't really think much about it, but then one of my friends actually said, "Oh, look, there's this job going, just apply for it." So I just applied for it and it was fine. But now when I'm just looking, just browsing, I have no idea what half of these jobs are. All of these names are really like, I didn't know it was called that. I like half of the techniques you don't even know, but you're never going to know everything in the job role. You'll just get trained, isn't it? But no, I completely agree. Like LinkedIn's is a big help, to be fair. And yeah, like you said, you just have to sit there and you just have to apply and apply and apply, and it's boring, but it's just got to be done. So yeah, no, well said.
Yeah, it's hard, but it's worth it in the end.
I know, for
It's
sure.
worth it, yeah.
Yeah, and I think just to add on, like you said, Chloe, this idea of networking, I think especially that's what people have seen during COVID as well, because there's been some people that I know that have, they've seen job opportunities or through connections, whether it's on LinkedIn or actual personal connections, have been able to get job opportunities or be the first to know about, oh, hey, my company's looking for a IT specialist, and I know you specialize in IT. We met at this event, and it is one of the things that I think uni students especially don't start to do beforehand, and it can be a huge benefit, especially when you're at this graduation point, to have that experience before of networking. So I know even I think one of my lecturers was saying, like, try and apply to as many online events as possible, even if you don't necessarily get to speak. It's just like a pre-recorded one where you watch someone, you can find the person on LinkedIn, you can connect with them. So you've really given like a great way, many ways that students could find ways of employment or other options after they've graduated. So yeah, thank you very much for that.
Yeah, also like I'm just starting to finish my master's now, so I'll be done in September. And so at this point, I'm starting to think, I don't know if this is the right thing for everyone, but I'm starting to email people in roles that I want to be in, and people that would be able to recruit me later on, and say like, this is my CV, this is my experience. Like, I'm planning on applying in September, getting a job in September. They say, actually, you can start applying in August, because then by the time you get accepted for interviews, you will have had your results back, you would have done it. And then you can, and then you can go from there. And it sort of cuts out that period of time where like a lot of people, they don't want to be transitioning. Some people want a bit of a holiday, but some people just want to go straight into it. I sort of can go straight into it. And there's things you can do in the meantime, like I'm thinking while I'm doing my dissertation, to do like volunteering or try and get like some work experience somewhere. Like you were saying, it's like a really good thing to get it in there, because then if they've seen that you're doing something recently, you're up to date with your skills, and you show that you're actively looking to work with, well, for me it's psychology. They say, make sure it looks like you want to work with these populations that you've experienced it before, so you don't just go in and then just like, oh, I don't like it, and then leave. It's good to show that you have got stuff before. But yeah, it's like you're saying, just like try and get that experience. And again, it's different for every course, but I find that was really useful.
I would also say you touched upon recruiting, and recruitment agencies are also great for when you come out of university, because you can tell them like what you think you're interested in, and they have a connection with organisations, and they will just pass your CV along, and you like cut out the middleman, and because you've gone to the recruiter and like you have a connection with that recruiter and they know what you're like, sometimes it is very beneficial in getting into the interview. So yeah, I would also say like reach out to recruitment agencies. Not too many though, because they will just be like filtering different jobs to you. And if you're like signed up to loads, you might be getting the same jobs, or you'll end up getting loads of emails. But yeah, that's another thing to think about as well.
So Chloe, you said that you did a history undergraduate. And so we're just wondering, what did you do like once you'd graduated and afterwards? Like what was the process you went through? What did you go into? Just tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I think out of my friends, I was actually the last one to get a grad job, which was tough. At first, I was like, it's okay, like it's going to take some time. A few of my friends had already landed jobs before like they graduated, which was great. And I was sort of like, I know what I want to do, and like I don't want to sway from that, because like for me, like I was very keen to work in the charity sector, and I know like my final goal. And my friends always said to me like, Chloe, like you could work in the private sector, get paid more, and you could get a job. And I was like, but I don't want to do that. And yeah, the charity sector is like very competitive. But what I used to do is I used to like just get up every day. I had a spreadsheet, which I think is like very useful to just put like the jobs you're applying to, like the salary, when the closing date is, and what you have to do for that application process and when you should hear back from it by. So that's like quite a nice way to check yourself and know how many jobs you are applying to, because there were points where I definitely was slacking. And my friend was like, how many jobs have you applied to? And I was like, yeah, like one. And she's like, you need to be applying to like 3-4 every day. And I'm like, oh my God, like this is a lot. So yeah, that's one thing I did. I think as well, what I looked for was jobs that may look out, like they may ask for applications from like minority groups. So I found that really useful, especially applying to like grad schemes that were directly for like BAME community. That was really helpful because I feel like you have more of a chance. So I would also like recommend doing that as well. But yeah, that was sort of my journey. I was still working part-time. So like I still had an income, which was good. And I think that helped me get by. And I did sway out a little bit of what I wanted, because when you come out of university, you have a very high expectation of what you want to have. And you've got like a salary in mind, and you've got a location in mind, and you've got like a specific job role that you want to get. And sometimes that's not the case. And I think with like your career progression, there's always loads of different routes that you can take to get to the end goal. So sometimes you have to think, okay, maybe I'm going to take a slight detour with the job that I thought I wanted and I thought that I needed to get to be. And I'm going to take this route. And it might be a longer route to get to my final destination, but I'm going to get there in the end. And that's sort of how I look at things. I know I wanted to work in the charity sector. I'm interested in policy. I'm interested in like education. So there's so many things that you can do with that. And that's sort of like why I applied to work at Brunel, still in education, campaigns coordinator, like campaigns and policy like goes quite close together. But when I come out of university, I thought all I wanted to do was work for like the government or like a charity. Brunel technically is like a non-profitable organisation, but it wasn't the sector that I thought I was going to be working in. So I got that job like a month before we went into lockdown, and I was so grateful that I landed myself that role. But it was outside of London. I thought I wanted to commute into work, and like it was very close. So I drove to work. That was like a compromise that I took, but it was fine. And yeah, so I worked there for just over a year. And now I have landed myself a role with the Girls Network. And it's a charity that I am an ambassador for, and it's great with like networking and connecting people. And actually, when I come out of university, I'd gone to this charity And I'd like said, like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know how to get to where I want to be. And they were amazing at connecting me with a list of organisations and connections with different people. And I did manage to meet with 2 companies and just talk about what I wanted to do. And they said, like, the skills I need and who they accept in their roles. And actually, it turns out one of them, I actually didn't have the experience to work there anyway. And they were like, you know, do this and maybe come back in 3 years. But having that discussion with her was so helpful. And she recommended like some books to me. And it's good to have them people there. Like, some years have gone by and now I have more experience, and like, she's on my LinkedIn. And if a few years' time I have the experience to work at that organisation, I know that I can email her, or in my application, I can obviously put little tips in that she's given me. So that's sort of the process I went down. My role now is a lot about networking, and I can now see like the importance of networking. It's a shame, but sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know, which is hard, but everyone can network and everyone can reach out and everyone can make different connections. So yeah, that's a bit about how I got to where I am now.
Nice, thanks. Yeah, and you made some really good points. So just going over the first one very briefly, was you were very organised. You had like a schedule and a way of doing it. I mean, I know you didn't start that way, but like you got there. And as someone, because I've graduated as well, obviously I'm doing my postgrad now, and I went in. I ended up working for Whole Foods in the end. But I was going around, I was just like, what do I want to do in the meantime? I wasn't sure. I did international relations for my undergrad, and I didn't really want to go into anything to do with politics or anything like that. Again, that's a big, like, who you know sort of industry. And it just wasn't for me. So I just got really organized. And I was just like, okay, I'm going to search for all of these places. I'm going to go around, give them my CV, note if I've got like a reply or anything. And it is super useful to see it in your head, because then you can tick off what you've done. You can make targets for yourself every day, and you can sort of get better at tweaking your CV. Another thing also is that the university does offer CV help. So you can actually apply, I can't remember the exact name of it, but it's like the academic skills. It's not ask, but it's sort of similar, and you can get appointments. They're really useful. I actually had one this morning, because again, I'm starting to apply for things now. So get in there early and make the most of it if you're at uni. Even if you've left the uni, if you were at the uni before, I know for Brunel, you can still use the service. I don't know how many years, but you can still use the service. So it's really useful. But your other point was about like making use of the BME networks. Could be a women's network, could be anything. But it's again like in a sort of a who you know world. It used to be like a load of men just being like, oh, I'll give your son a job because I know you or whatever, and like that. So it's these things come about for a reason. It's called positive discrimination, and it is positive. So make use of them. So if you are going into anything that's fast stream services for people from different backgrounds, it could be underprivileged backgrounds, it could be a BME background. So make use of them because they're there for a reason. And if you don't take it, someone else will. So it's good to. But also all the people there, they're really. I mean, when I was working for STEM, we did things with the women's engineering sort of fast stream. They put you with a mentor. Really, really good way of getting connections. And again, it's all about this networking, because once you know someone inside the company, you're a familiar face and you're more likely to get it. So, make use of them, and the success stories from them are really good. And you get put in touch with people that like, even if you don't go for a job straight away, like you were saying, in the future, you can go for a job if it fits you better then. So yeah, some really, really good points. And there's just so much out there. So I guess like, you know better than anyone, but the networking really is important.
I would also say I was, doing like sending out cover letters and CVs, and it's good to reflect. So like if there was any stage when I wasn't getting that many responses back, it's good to like look at yourself and think, actually, there's something I need to change in my CV or my cover letter, because there's a reason why you're not getting any responses, and you just need to adapt how you're selling yourself. So take time to reflect on what you're sending out, and it's okay to tweak it. And it's okay to, sometimes even start again. Like, that's fine, because the end goal is to get that job, and you're going to do whatever it takes, and you're going to put in the work, and things need to be changed. And as well, it's good to realize your tone for different companies and like do your research into that company, and don't just copy the same cover letter. Like, you need to adapt it to fit that company. I hate the thought of that, because it is a long process, but you have to do it, unfortunately.
So I was going to ask, like you said about, and you're under no pressure if you just whatever, but yeah, no, you're saying about like that you do sometimes have to do tweaks. Did you find like there was a common issue that you found with your CV that actually was drawing you back, that maybe you didn't realize, like the way you're wording things, or the cover letter, or the way that you were putting too much information about something, or did you find that there was something?
Yeah, my first cover letter was awful, which is a bit crazy, because I got the template from my university. So I was like, you've given us this template. It wasn't detailed enough. It had bullet points in it. And some companies, they want to read stuff fast, but you need to sell yourself. So certain things like don't go over a page. My CV, I've changed it since when I first got my first job, but I've taken out all of the little bits. You might need that as a graduate, but now, like, as time goes, like, they probably don't need to know that unless it relates to the job, like, they don't need to know like what you did at school, and they don't need to know like the little things you've done at university. Like, that stuff you can talk about in your interview when they ask you like certain questions about your experiences, but that stuff's just fillers. You don't need that. Like, stick to like your core talents and your core skills, and like what makes you great.
Yeah, thank you very much for the last answer, Chloe. And I think we can clearly see that you've had that organizational skills, and I think that's one of the things that uni students have had sort of pressure. I wouldn't say pressured, but it's definitely put in them that you have to be organized, you have to be on top of setting out targets for each day, especially when, like you said, when it came to these applications, making sure you did a certain number each day and just focusing on that and doing that was really good. But I think, like Sam touched before, universities sometimes can offer support, or like you said, some agencies or recruitment agencies do offer support as well. So we were just wondering, what support did you get after you graduated, essentially?
Yeah, so support from my university, I feel like I got a phone call like months later to be like, have you found a job? And it was very like weird, patronizing phone call. And they were asking me loads of information, which even made me think like, is this a scam? Because what are these questions they're asking me? I went to like career fairs whilst at university and after. I don't really feel like I got that much support post as a graduate from my university, but I had so much support from my friends. They like really pushed me to like just keep going, and my family as well, which I think is helpful. One thing that was useful is at my university, at like the careers fair, or in like the careers section in the library, they gave out these free books. There was 2 of them. I think one of them was like top 100 UK graduates, like by The Guardian. And then there was another one. And it was so interesting flicking through the book and seeing the different sectors, what the grad role was, what the pay was, when the applications opened, when they closed. And it was just good to see what was sort of out there, and like how different companies differed with pay, or like what was expected from you and what grades you might need to even get onto the graduate scheme. So yeah, I would like encourage everyone to like research like top 100 graduate roles, because because that's just like an eye-opener. Any other support? I think it's also good to like the LinkedIn thing, but seeing what other people write, like I've like applied to 100 roles and I've not heard back from any of them. And then today I landed my dream job. Like I was so glad that I waited. Stuff like that is like, that's like supportive, because you're like, oh yeah, it's not just me that doesn't have a job. Like everyone else is in this boat. You got to think everyone graduates at the same time. Everyone's looking for a job at the same time. The graduate schemes, they open, I think, like twice a year. And like, if you're not like on it, like you've missed it. And then you might have to wait to like the next opening. So you just got to remember that everyone's in the same situation, and you might see that your friends are getting jobs before you, but everyone has their own timing. And like, I truly believe like everything happens for a reason. So just wait and it will come.
Definitely, I definitely agree, and I think, like you said, you can't rush these things, especially if you're looking for. And I think we touched on this in our first ever episode of following your passion rather than following money. And like Sam said in that episode, looking when it comes to looking for a job or career path that you want to go down, you definitely shouldn't. I know sometimes even that can be a luxury of not going one for money immediately, but if you've got the option to apply for different roles, like you said, LinkedIn posts that share, I've applied for hundreds of jobs and I haven't heard back, and then I've got the dream job I was looking for and it came out of nowhere. I think that's like you said, that's definitely true, and that's definitely something that can support a lot of students who might, especially if they've never applied for jobs before graduating. That is one of the things as a uni student you might not necessarily be prepared for. So knowing that there are other students, or even some people who haven't been to university, they had a role, and whether it's events like COVID or personal things that have meant that they've had to reshuffle their whole career path, knowing that they're also going through the similar things of trying to get jobs and trying to apply and not hearing back, like you said, can be encouraging to know that you're not the only one going through this. Eventually you will get that job that you're looking for, or you will get onto this graduate scheme that you want to do, but sometimes you just got to wait. And I think, like we said in that in the first episode, of just using that waiting period to do something. So not just necessarily saying, okay, cool, the graduate scheme opens October and January. I've missed the January one, so I'm just going to wait until October. I'm not going to do anything. No, just using, whether it's you develop your soft skills, like, practicing your interview skills or communication skills, or whether it's your actual technical experience, because like we said before, there's loads of online courses you can do to learn Excel. And that's, again, one of the benefits of LinkedIn. You can say, I've got a proficiency in Excel or PowerPoint or any online software. I think they've got basically now. So that is, definitely a key thing that anyone listening, who's at this point and they're unsure, I definitely would recommend to just go out and do. So thank you very much for that.
Yeah, thanks. Those were some really, really good points. And I was thinking, again, as someone that's just about to leave uni again, I went through it before, and I learned my lesson, which, well, I suppose for me was that I could, if you leave, the lesson I learned was that you can always go back and do something else. So you could do, mine's a conversion course, psychology. But anyway, that's a completely different matter. What we're wondering is, what is like one piece of advice that you would give to students who are about to leave university? So I guess in that sort of those running steps, whether it's masters or undergraduate. But
So I would say utilize your friends. You're all in the same boat, so like feel free to like send your CV, because they might be like, oh, actually, Chloe, I've got told that you shouldn't lay it out like this and you shouldn't go over a certain amount of pages, because they just want to like read the CV like quick and like know what you're about. So I would say like that's what your friends are for. Like, you're your own network group. So share skills and help each other, and get your friend to read over your cover letter. Like I sent my cover letter to like my friends, because at the beginning I was like, does this sound good? Does it sound professional? Because, I didn't know. And then, I mean, that's one bit of advice, but my main advice would be just don't compare yourself to others. everyone has their own timing. And I truly believe in that, because when you do start comparing yourself, you will get disheartened and you will lose motivation. And then it's hard to like get out of that, because you're like, oh my God, like I'm not going to apply for another job because I'm not hearing back from anything. But it will happen. So yeah, you're on your own path. Like everyone's on their own path and their own journey. So follow your path and you'll get there in the end.
I love that. That's actually great advice. But yeah, no, we are. And like, we always do compare each other. Like, even when we think like, let's not do it, we're always comparing ourselves to others. That's like our sort of standard of living. So whatever our friends are doing, friends are even more of a comparison point. And so, yeah, no, it's just like, you're right. We're all on our own path. We're all in our own time. And I think you said this, I can't remember, you said this earlier, that like everything happens for a reason. And like, you know, sometimes you can be rejected and all of this stuff. And what I've learned in life is that sometimes not getting what you want is getting what you want, because you can be rejected from something, but actually you wouldn't have liked it and you wouldn't have done it. And then something else comes along. It's just like, actually prefer this. You're just like, that's more me. And then actually sometimes like when you lose, you win. And sometimes when you win, you lose. So I guess it is just about taking your own life and not comparing yourself to others. Very important. But yeah, thanks.
I have another bit of advice, and I know you only said one, but just quickly, I'd also say we're very young, so if you don't like a job, don't be in a job that makes you unhappy, because like we don't want to be unhappy and young. Like we've got a whole life to live. You've got your whole life to work. So don't be unhappy in a job. Like do something that you love, and it's okay to leave a job if you don't like it.
That's really good as well. And again, because I'm doing a master's conversion course, there's so many people that were in different degrees, different jobs before. Some people are 40, some people are 30, some people are 20, and just going straight into it. But all of them are like, I did something before and I didn't like it and I wanted to change. And like people at the age of 60, they're still doing it. And they're just like, I just wanted to change. And talking to them, they're like, I was doing something I didn't want to do for so long, and it was just draining me and I wasn't enjoying it and I wasn't living to my true self. And so like when you start thinking just like, I want to do this, I want to do that, maybe through your entire life, when you we're told too young, like choose something you're going to do, choose an A-level, choose a degree. And then when you get the degree, now you can get a job in it. But actually, if your like 18-year-old self was just chose the wrong thing because you're just pressurized to do something, you should be stuck to it. So yeah, someone that's just about to leave university should know, I guess, that it's not all about, what they've done. Like they can pave their own path from whenever. So yeah, that's nice. 3 bits of advice there. So,
yeah. Thanks for the last answer, Chloe. Like that's some really good advice. And even Sam, like what you guys were saying, it's really, really good advice. But can you tell me, like, where do you think students can go to get more information about what they want to do after university? Like, be that like the careers and like a part of their university, or where exactly do you think that they can go?
So I would say, Careers Hub, LinkedIn, and like messaging people on LinkedIn, not just like scrolling on LinkedIn. But also, following organisations that you're interested in on Twitter, seeing when they post like a job application is going to come up. And also, even if somewhere doesn't have a job, like vacancy, email them. I know people that have emailed companies saying like, I'm looking for a job. And they've said, oh, actually, we do have this role coming up, like, and you've actually got a head start. Like you've actually been able to apply before it's been advertised. So yeah, you just want to reach out to as many people as possible, like email, message them, like be really friendly and be like, hi. Also, I would say like look on people's LinkedIn and see like what roles they've had before, how they might have got to where you've got, where you need to be, because it'll be interesting. It's interesting to see like who had voluntary work or who did what after university. And a lot of people, not everyone gets the job they want. Like sometimes you have to do something that's slightly different. But I would say, utilize Careers Hub and LinkedIn. They're the 2 main ones. Yeah,
that's really true. And it's all about networking as well. Like you were saying, just message, don't just look. It's very true. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one thing that I want to just add on to highlight was that you said, Chloe, the idea of both social media and contacting the company like directly, because I think it's one of those things where people think that just because you use social media, it's got more of a personal presence, that you can't actually use it for jobs. But actually, that's not true. And I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I've heard of examples of individuals who said to whether it's like a big company or a smaller company, that even if they their social media is their passion, they might be like, oh, I can see that you guys you post a lot of stuff, but actually if you think about this, doing it like this is a really good thing. And they'll be like, we didn't think about that before. How would you like to, we'd like to sit with you and just discuss some of your ideas, and that can lead to a job. And I think that's one of the things where people just need to I guess go back to and understand that yes, social media is for a more personal presence, and I know that LinkedIn, like we've discussed here, has got the the atmosphere of being super professional, but it's one of those things where you can just start thinking of like using social media, especially like you said, like Twitter, to just see what these companies do, and a lot of the time, like you said, they do. And I think that's what I think the three of us have even said, that they do respond to you, especially if you show like a genuine interest. And as long as you're genuine with them, they'll always give you a genuine answer. And worst comes to worst, at most you'll get a no. And it's better for you to do it and know where you stand, rather than you just waiting, in limbo and not being sure of, should I do it, should I not? So yeah, definitely, I think using social media and contacting them directly is definitely a key thing to raise. So yeah, thank you very much for that. So yeah, thank you very much, Chloe, for all the questions and answers that you've given us today. It's been really insightful, and I'm sure our listeners and our audience have enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed, hearing your answers as well. Yeah, and Sam's got his thumbs up, everyone. So yeah, definitely, it's been super fun having you on here. For everyone, this is our new season, so we like to introduce a new thing every season. For this season, we're getting our guests to ask us as co-hosts, ask us questions relating to this topic. So I'm going to now hand over to Chloe, who's, I guess, going to be interviewing us, and she's going to ask us a question. So Chloe, please take it away.
Okay, so guys, the question that I would like to ask you today is, what are your career aspirations, and do you have an idea of how you want to reach your dream goal or your dream career?
Yeah, I can say that's a very, very good question. I think for me, so my career aspirations, I don't necessarily know the type of role that I want to go into. So I can't give a specific job title. But I definitely want to do something around sustainability. So whether that's myself, like running a sustainable organization, like I said before, I'm very passionate about sustainable fashion and raising awareness on that, especially like from a guy point of view, because one of the things I have seen is, especially when it comes to sustainable fashion, sometimes guys might not feel like they want to be very involved, or if they are involved, fashion is not their thing. But making it in a way that it is enjoyable and it is fun is definitely something I want to go to. So definitely being a business owner is definitely somewhere down the career path. But yeah, for the time being, I definitely want to do something with sustainability and working with people to encouraging them to become more sustainable. Do I have a clear path of how I'm going to, path of how I'm going to get there? I would say at the moment, yes. So like Sam, I'm finished my undergrad and I'm currently going to be applying for my master's. But yeah, I'm looking for masters that do allow those options. So they do allow me to either come out as someone who can work as a consultant or can work with different organizations to introduce or implement sustainability into them. So that sort of like fits into the idea of like corporate social responsibility, or some of the courses that I've seen, they actually give support to students who do want to start a business. So they go through the idea of, how that comes about, the different forms you'll have to fill out, taxation, you have to report stuff to HMRC. So things like that, they give students the support. And I think what's really been good, we touched on it before about these ideas of knowing that other people have gone through this and, their success stories. One of the things with some of the applications I've seen is I've been able to like go online and see that some of these students have gone out and, done this masters, or they've done this, program, and they've come out and they've started their own business. And while it might not necessarily, be a massive, well-known business, it's still something that's very profitable, and it's something that the person who's done it has said that they've really enjoyed. So I think for me, definitely something around sustainability and encouraging people to be more like eco-friendly or more conscious about the environment is definitely something that I want to do.
Nice one. And I guess it's a really great question. I guess I'll answer it now. This might sound really organised, but I promise you it's not. I was going to go in 3 stages for my future life. So the first one, which is what I'm at right now, is getting a job, getting into it, developing up it. And then in psychology, and then my second stage will be about like expanding upon that, understanding other people, what they go through, all these, like through my career, using it as like a learning experience and a stepping stone. Not the career that I'm going to go into for psychology isn't my end goal. My end goal would be to create my own charity. So that'd be stage 3, to use all the experience of everything that I've done through my career, before my career, building up empathy, building up awareness of issues that people go through, like psychologically, but also, I guess, non-psychologically, just everything in life. I want to see the world a bit, I want to travel a bit, and use that to sort of build a charity later in life that deals with people's mental health issues in a way that maybe I won't understand yet. And so it's something that it's like my future goal is something that I can't see. It's like it's over some stairs that I need to climb up first to know where I'm getting to, which I guess is like, it's about going through all of that and building myself up as a person to be able to create that. And also, I guess, building up a reliable income and having money to be able to create the charity, because charities, they take resources to do, but they also, if you just have money but you don't have empathy and all that experience, then it's going to be wasted on something that might not hit an issue. So it's really understanding the niche of the area and the niche of people's problems, and finding a new way to help solve them and a new solution for it, which I guess is something that I'll figure out as I go along. But that's my end goal. But thanks. Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah.
Well, mine's not as organised as Sam's. I've not thought that much into it like that. But honestly, I don't know about my aspirations. Like right now I'm in research, and I know that I want to stay within research, but what exact job I want to do, like what that job title is, I have no idea. Because I only graduated last year, so I've been in this job for a year. So I mean, to me, it's still a bit early, because there's the potential of doing a PhD as well, which would go hand in hand with doing research. But then I'm also thinking it also goes back to the same thing of, do I want to go back to studying for another 3 years? That's something I need to think about. But yeah, no, basically I don't know. I'll just take one day at a time and see what happens. Just keep applying for jobs and just work my way up. But like ultimately I will be staying in research because I enjoy that. I find it interesting. And yeah.
Thanks for your answers, guys.
Yeah, so now we come on to everyone's favourite section of the episode. So we're still continuing on with our MCs of the month. And this week's one, we sort of briefly touched on it before. So I know in our season 1, we talked about Brunel's Professional Development Centre, or the PDC, or whichever equivalent that your university might have that might support you with your career path and going on to the future. But thinking on for, I guess, more general scale, we've decided to pick the Times Top 100 grad schemes. I think Chloe touched on it before. Essentially, for anyone who doesn't know about it, the Times basically put together all the grad schemes that different employers in the UK offer. And they basically, through the experience of students, and this is where it gets really good, because it's made up of the experience that students from the last year have essentially, they've been on these grad schemes. It's made up of that. So it's not necessarily the business, coming up here and saying, this is why you should apply to us, and, giving you, I guess, information that you might feel isn't necessarily true or isn't, the realist information that you could get. What's really good is they interview these students, they speak to them about it, and the students themselves express, things that they liked about it, things that they would have preferred to be improved. Obviously, I'm not sure if at Brunel they've because I know before, like Chloe was saying, there were copies that students who are graduating could pick up from the library or from the PDC. But obviously with COVID, people might not be on campus or these centres might not be open. But what's good is they do have an online one. So if you go onto their website, I think if you just type in Times top 100 employer graduate schemes, you can subscribe and they'll send you the online one. And yeah, it can be really good to help you go through, even if at this point, you don't necessarily know what you want to do. It can be a really good thing to just look and see, these are the career paths that, this is a graduate scheme, and then these are the careers that someone who's done your degree could go to within this. And that's really good. And I know I'm going to be checking that out. And I know I've had lecturers tell me as well that it can be very supportive. I've had friends who've graduated and they've used it and it's been really good. So yeah, so I definitely recommend for anyone who is graduating, postgrad or undergrad or in a PhD, go check it out. Some of these schemes, like we have said, they might have closed. So if they have closed, just keep an eye out for the next one. Even if you want to contact the organisation, feel free to do that, and I'm sure they can get back to you. But yeah, they're our MC for the month. So we've now come to the end of our first episode of season 2, and we want to say a big thank you to Chloe for being here. We've loved having you on the show. Yeah, we're clapping virtually, everyone. But yeah, thank you so much for being on the show. It was great to have you here. You've given some really insightful answers that I think not only have been very, very helpful for myself, and I'm pretty sure Sam could say the same, as students who are going to be graduating, but also for anyone who's even at the point where they've graduated since last year, and just because of COVID, it's impacted their employability, or they haven't found the job that they necessarily wanted to. It's really given them the hope that, even though things might be tougher now, you will get to a point where you will be working in that dream profession. So thank you so much for that, Chloe.
And also, anyone out there, share your experiences with us. Have you had an amazing experience when you came out? Did you have a terrible experience? We want to know. We might feature it on the next episode if it's interesting enough. So yeah, send it, look on our website, send it to our email. But yeah, we want to know about your experiences as well.
Definitely. And yeah, even if you want to put it in the comment section below, that would be really good, because even like Chloe said, sharing this, and Sam's just said, sharing experiences can help motivate others. So thank you very much for that, everyone. Thank you again for Chloe for being on the podcast, and we will see you all next time. So take care, look after yourselves.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And we wish you all a wonderful week, and keep an eye out for our next episode.